demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years. Actually, it's overfulfilled. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standard.
Turns you on the most?
About what? Let me go. Okay, what's around chains, hood, niggas? Well, they gotta have something going for that, so that can't be no like crazy. But I like chains, a stand, a wall, a dog. I like a gang member. You gotta be a gang member. You gotta be a gang member. If you're not, I like you gotta have a gang member. And if you is one, you can't be a gang member. Gotta be a gang member. Gotta be a gang member. I like D-boys with a lot of money. I'm a spoiled ass bitch. So if you can't come how my brother's coming, you gotta step your motherfucking cookies up for they crumbles, bitch.
No, I screamed like, oh my God, fuck.
What?
Because at first I wasn't getting pregnant. He was nothing in me. We were trying. Because at first I was getting pregnant and then I aborted and shit. Like, ooh.
You did that a lot?
3 times. With him. So, I was just like, alright, we're not ready. Alright, you don't want it? Alright, cool. Then got to a point where he was like, I want a family. I want a baby with you. Have my baby, la la la. So he started fucking the shit out of me crazy, like real crazy. So I started going on my knees too, like, Lord, can I get a baby? Like, I'm not gonna kill this one. So then I got pregnant, but in the midst of me getting pregnant, we're beefing shit. I don't know. We're going through stuff like, that's not you, my baby. I don't want no baby with you no more. I'm like, yo, I already made up my mind. You made up your mind just because you changed your mind because you're mad. I'm not going back on it.
So you wasn't going to let him change his mind?
Then it started growing on him. And then when I got far along and we go through something else again, he like, kill it. I'm like, bitch, I'm already 5 months.
Exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his balls, then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization.
I was a big part of that moral decay. I was a participant in that moral decay. We have to do better, or we're going to continue to lose this country and the things that I grew up loving about this country. The reason why free speech is under attack is because there's a moral decay, a spiritual decay, rotting, or even respect for freedom. People don't even understand the value of freedom. Because of our spiritual decay, we're so disconnected from God's vision, plan, scriptures, gospel, wisdom. I may be repeating myself, but we're just so disconnected from a biblical worldview that the things that we create are poisonous and don't serve us well.
feel like there was a bit of pride to be a human being at one point. Even if they didn't have a lot of money, they still made an attempt to wear their best clothes when they went out in public. Now people just wear anything, do anything now. They wear their pajamas in the grocery store. Nobody cares. But the thing is like, if the places you go to don't care, then why should anyone care? I mean, even the trains back then people took, and you look inside, and there's areas with couches and record players, like a cigar lounge. It's like little beds, and it's like they make it look nice. And then people wonder why they dressed up back then to go on these trains and to go out in public. And you could see how everything's nice. Everything that was made was extravagant. There was real craftsmanship to things. Wouldn't that make you want to dress up? You take a train now, there's no character to it. There's nothing about it that makes it seem like, oh, this was created for a warm, nice, relaxing environment for you. Take a walk through downtown LA. You think that's something to be proud of? You're going to dress up in a suit and go to the store? No. Why would you? They let people on heroin just sit in front of the store shooting up. They defecate on the street. I mean, they allow all this. Well, what are you going to dress up for? Man, people used to have so much pride. Look how clean it used to look back then. I mean, I'm sure not everywhere looked like that, but I mean, it was almost as if like there was this collective pride in being a human being, like walking amongst their creations. Like, look what we've done. Look what we created. Like, it's something to be proud of. Look at the cars now. They suck. Take a look at some of the cars back from the 50s and 60s, even the 70s. I mean, they were just like, there was character to them. There's no character to these cars now. They just churn them out. Spending time to craft a beautiful car doesn't fit into the business model anymore. Look what happened to Detroit. It was the #1 car manufacturing city in America. And now it looks like a third world country because they all moved out. Yeah, the entire industry moves out. Done. It just all falls apart. There was a classic car museum, and you could see all the way from the beginning up until maybe like the 50s and 60s and early 70s, where the cars had so much character to them. Then when it starts getting to like the 80s and the 90s, and it's over. You know, it's funny, when I first walked in, there was an exhibit of cameras, stuff from the 20s all the way up until now. And it's funny, you know, and they actually had stuff from like the early 90s, like a digital camera, and it's just like, it's plastic. It's like, why is this even in here? Why are we even celebrating? You could just see the comparison from everything before then, like how much character, how well made it was, all the way up into like this little digital camera just made out of plastic. It's like, this is nothing to put in behind glass. Throw it out. Shouldn't be worth anything. I shouldn't even be looking at this right now. But just seeing all that stuff in contrast made me really appreciate the craftsmanship that people had back in the day. There's a pulse and a heartbeat behind it. I guarantee you, if you surround yourself with stuff like that, you'll see what I mean. I want to start surrounding myself with things that are meaningful, that came from an idea that someone was passionate about, someone who made a product that they were proud of. I wish we could get back to that. That's why I feel like we do need some sort of a reset here. There needs to be some kind of a wake-up call. The soul is being removed from everything. We can do so much better than this. We have so much to offer as people. We're so creative. We have so much potential. We shouldn't be craving the things from the past to come back today. It should already be here.
Guns are not the cause of evil. Just like the vehicle used by the domestic terrorist in Waukesha, Wisconsin to mow down innocent people in a parade, killing 6, The vehicle used was not the cause of that evil. The person driving it was. Why are not the victims of that heinous act pictures being shown by the Democrats on the floor today, like those victims in Uvalde? Where was the left's cry to ban vehicles that killed those innocent lives in Waukesha? There are no cries to ban cars because that's not on the left's agenda. Banning guns is, and Democrats use these heinous crimes to further the long sought-after political objective of disarming America. And many Democrats in this chamber have called for outright bans on certain firearms. There is a moral decay in our country that has been created by the left. They have torn down traditional institutions, took God out of our classrooms, and systematically destroyed the notion of traditional families and values. Just look at these numbers in a recent article from the Christian Post. 75% of most cited school shooters in America are fatherless. 60% of America's rapists grew up without fathers. 63% of teenagers who commit suicide don't have a father in their life. 72% of adolescent murderers are fatherless. The same was true for the murderer at Robb Elementary, and I could go on. Why isn't the majority talking about that? Why isn't the majority talking about solutions to have role models in our children's lives? Because that doesn't accomplish a political objective for them. This bill, nor any bill before us this week, will stop mass shootings. This bill won't even decrease gun violence, and the facts and evidence from the jurisdictions with similar policies in place makes that clear. Just look at any holiday weekend in Chicago and see how many people have been shot with many of these policies already in place. This bill is simply a step further to restrict the ability of law-abiding citizens to own firearms and defend themselves, while doing nothing to address the cultural rot that leads to these acts. This bill seeks to take the Second Amendment rights away from 18 to 20-year-olds by taking their ability to purchase a firearm. Comparing census data on the total 18 to 20-year-old population with DOJ data on violent crimes committed by that age group, and this includes violent crimes not involving guns, only 0.3% of 18 to 20-year-olds commit violent crimes in a year. When you look at murder, including murder without guns, only 0.013% of 18 to 20-year-olds commit murder in a year. So today, Democrats are going to take away the lawful right for 99.7% of adult Americans between the age of 18 and 20 for the acts of a few wicked people. Now think about that. So the daughter off to college, living by herself, can't buy a shotgun to keep in her home to protect herself against a rapist. All because 0.3% of that age group has committed a violent crime. The magazine limits in this bill are even more egregious because it affects all Americans and all firearms, not just rifles, and will effectively serve as a ban on most commonly used handguns. And as I demonstrated in the Judiciary Committee last week, numerous firearms that millions of Americans use every single day to protect themselves and their families could be rendered useless by a 15-round magazine limit, and those 15-round magazine limits who have absolutely no effect on solving mass shootings. I will not yield. I urge my colleagues to stand for freedom, to stand for the Constitution, and to stand for the right of law-abiding citizens to defend themselves. And I yield back.